So in this video, I want to talk about the ending of DanMachi, and this is a speculative video on where the ending will go for DanMachi, but I'm also going to be going over spoilers about volumes 1 through 19, so that will be the spoilers itself, but I do not know the ending. This is, again, speculative, so I want to be very clear there. So take all my opinions with a grain of salt. I might be right, I might be wrong, but what I want to talk about is why I do believe the ending is going to end bad no matter what. And what I mean by that is not my view on it, but how others will perceive it. Because here's the thing, the author has played a massive game of hopscotch when it comes to all the different girls that are part of the harem. There's a large cast of different girls. Many fans have many different favorites, but a lot of us that have read the source material, read through all 19 volumes of the main story, much of the side stories, I've got 2 more volumes to go for the side stories, which is to do with Eyes and Loki familiar, and then of course you've got other side story volumes, and then the game as well. There's been a lot of build up towards different characters and backstories and kind of destiny and all that kind of stuff, and I've spoken about it throughout most of my videos about where the story will most likely go and who will most likely win. Now at the end of the day, I don't really care who wins as long as the story makes sense and as long as the ending makes sense. Like, as long as it makes sense, I don't care who wins. I just don't want it to be one of those where it's like a bait and switch at the last minute, which many harem series try to do. Some do, many, but some also just know what they're trying to do. And an example would be Nausicaa. Nausicaa, right at the beginning, you know who's going to win. And even though you know who's going to win, at least I did, I knew straight away from the first volume who was going to win. And guess what? The one that I thought was going to win won, because it was very clear. The author was quite transparent, but the problem was is they put many speed bumps along the way. But there are many fans that got quite upset at the fact that their favorite girl did not win and they thought that it was going to be the other way. This is my concern about DanMachi, is that the author has played a massive game of hopscotch and not focused enough on building the romance that has been very much hinted from the very beginning. And as much as most of us know enough to know where the story is going to go, in that sense, it would have been nice if they spent less time teasing other girls and more time spending with the couple that they've been hinting at in the games and everywhere else, which is Eyes and Belle. Now, there are other girls. You've got Hestia, Freya, the elf, the fox girl, the supporter, one of the Amazon girls. Like, you've got a variety of large cast of girls that are massively in love with Belle. And if it does go a harem route, I actually think at this point it might be the better option, because of the fact the author just keeps teasing at all these girls. But if that was the case, it also means that Belle needs to change his own opinion on what he's going with, because Belle, even to volume 19, has feelings for Eyes and only Eyes, which is rather funny, because I constantly keep seeing comments of people going, no, you're just delusional, it's actually going to be the elf that wins, and it's because it's hinted in volume 14 and volume 5 with him peaking. It's like, okay, if you're referring to volume 5 because Belle peaked on a certain elf, he also peaked on Hestia as well, and like 3 other girls getting naked in a bath. Does that mean he's going to hook up with all of them as well? Because based on that logic, it should also apply there. And this is one of the problems, is when you start using little points at a certain story, you've also got to apply that equally. But what I refer to is simple as what Belle's wishes are. Belle is in love with Eyes. He said that. He said it multiple times. He's rejected one of the girls already, but he's also scared to reject a certain elf because of the fears of what happened with the last girl that he rejected. He rejected a certain goddess, and things got pretty ugly. And it wasn't Hestia. If you're actually watching this and you're wondering who, it was Freya. He rejected Freya and Sia. And again, I gave spoiler warnings anyway, so if you didn't want spoilers, you should be on the video now. But he rejected her, and things got ugly. So he's got a fear of rejecting other girls now, but I do believe he will build the confidence back up, and he will reject the rest of the girls, and he will continue to chase Eyes, and that will be the end game. Now, of course, with this whole thing about inspiration because of his grandfather, yes, Belle has always been told, you know, go out there into the dungeon, find a girlfriend, and build yourself a harem. But Belle has demonstrated that he's only interested in one girl. So unless his opinions change and it makes sense from a story point, it's very much of a one ship, or 2 people on that one ship. That's it. It's not a giant fleet of girls coming with him. So unless something drastically changes in these next volumes, even up to volume 19, it has been hinting at eyes. And this is where my concern is that if the author keeps playing around a little bit, trying to tease and make roadblocks, like what other series like Nausicaa have done, I think we're going to get a very angry fan base at the end of it, because you got to realize this is a light novel series. This is a much more longer built-up series. You got 24 volumes to say like Nausicaa, and I use that just as an example because it's a harem series that had multitude of girls chasing, and some fans didn't realize who was going to win, but that was 24 manga volumes. We have 19 light novels, and that's just from the main story. You count the side stories, they're up to volume 14 with an additional 2 other side stories and an entire game building up all this story. So to me, my concern is if at the end of this story it does go with eyes, some fans are going to be upset because their favorite didn't win. And I mean, that's going to happen no matter what, but I wonder if it's going to be a bit more of an uproar because of the amount of teasing that the author has done, and people are going to be a bit felt like they're baited. And that is a question I ask to you, the viewers. What do you think of this? Do you think that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to feel baited? And do you think it's a fair thing to feel baited and feel betrayed by the writer? I feel like betrayed feels like a little bit harsh, but just felt like they were misled, a bit of a bait and switch as the authors kind of mixed and matched all these different girls. But at the same time, some of these girls I knew would never win. Like they were much more further behind in the race. Like, you've got the supporter. I just feel like she was never going to win. Like, I feel like Belle sees her as like a sister. And then you've got Hestia, who Belle sees as a motherly type figure. Like, Belle has distinctively shown time and time and time again that he has no interest in these girls, but for some reason certain fans have created headcanons that these girls are definitively already won. And that's what concerns me, is that has the writer spent too much time teasing and not enough time building what should be getting established more? And that is something that I've seen in the comment sections, and that's why I'm bringing this up as a discussion point to see what others think about it. Because if the author doesn't spend more time establishing that romance, I think people are going to continue to get the wrong idea, and especially in the anime, because we've got some big stuff coming in the next season of the anime, and if the light novels continue to play around with different other characters and not focus on Belle and Eyes, it makes me wonder if I can really blame them for getting the wrong impressions. But I'd love to ask the question off to you. What do you think the ending should be, and why? Don't just say who should win, but explain why you think it should end in the way it should. Because I'm in two different camps. I'm one of the kind of like Eyes and Belle kind of camp, but I also do think maybe we could look at the harem ending if Belle could maybe be more persuaded to be like, hey, you know, maybe you can have that harem ending, Belle, and maybe Belle would start to build attachments to some of these girls. But it'd be very difficult because of the fact of how he feels towards some of them, like Hestia, and even Freya. He sees them as like something too far above him. He doesn't see them as a romantic interest, which makes sense because they are immortal. They're on a different plane in themselves in how they act in their persona. It just, I kind of see where Belle's point of view is when it comes to his romantic choices. So I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I will be getting into more of the light novel stuff for DanMachi as I get through them, and of course going into next year I'll be going through the side stories to do with a certain elf, so definitely look forward to that. So again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.